There is something haunting about the laughter that echoes through bedrock. It is not only the sound of amusement, but of ancient fatigue, of people laughing, so they do not have to think about the weight of the stone above them. Os Flintstones, when viewed through the concept of El Soberano Mármol, becomes more than a playful reimagining of prehistory. It becomes a chronicle of human civilization, a petrified satire that reveals how the more we think we evolve, the more we sculpt ourselves into statues. Bedrock is not a world of beginnings, but a monument to repetition. Every rock house, every Stone Age gadget, every foot-powered car is a fossil of the future. Watching it feels like looking into a mirror, polished by time, where the reflection is not of the past but of everything that refuses to change. Fred Flintstone is the eternal worker, the marble sovereign's most loyal subject and its most defiant fool. His voice fills the world with noise and hope, his energy endless yet futile. He hammers against the walls of destiny like a man chiseling at his own cage. The quarry where he works, a vast desert of gray, is both his livelihood and his prison. The whistle that signals the end of his day could just as easily be the trumpet announcing another cycle of servitude. Fred's dreams of advancement, of wealth, respect, comfort, never reach fruition because bedrock's laws are carved in granite. In his endless striving, he becomes the perfect citizen of marble civilization, dynamic in motion, static in destiny. There is, however, a tragic nobility in his failure. Each of Fred's misadventures, schemes to earn quick riches, attempts to impress his boss, efforts to elevate his family's social status, crumble not out of malice but out of misunderstanding. He believes the marble can bend to his will. That effort and optimism can transform a stone city into something soft. But bedrock is unyielding. The laughter that follows his downfall is the laughter of the marble itself, echoing through the ages at humanity's expense. And yet he rises again the next day, ready to try once more. That persistence, naive and touching, transforms comedy into endurance. Wilma Flintstone, graceful and grounded, stands as the counterweight to Fred's volatility. Her elegance softens the rough edges of their existence, as though she were constantly sculpting love out of indifference. Her gestures, serving a meal, tending to pebbles, comforting her husband, carry an unspoken strength. In her, the marble sovereign meets its rival, compassion. Wilma's patience is an act of rebellion against bedrock's inertia. She lives in the same fossilized world as Fred, yet she finds movement within stillness. When she looks at him, it is with both love and irony, as if she knows that he, like all men of marble, will never truly change. And yet she remains, not as a victim, but as the keeper of warmth in a world of stone. Barney Rubble, the faithful friend, functions as bedrock's quiet philosopher. His light-heartedness hides a wisdom Fred cannot perceive. Barney's laughter is not denial, it is acceptance. He knows the futility of ambition in a world where everything has already been carved, and so he chooses joy instead. His friendship with Fred is one of those rare connections that transcends logic. They argue, they compete, they fail together, but their bond remains unbreakable, like the rock that surrounds them. In Barney, El Soberano Mármol finds its balance. He has learned to live with the marble rather than against it. Visually, bedrock's architecture tells us everything about its soul, its curved walls, its jagged mountains, its prehistoric tools. All are illusions of progress etched in permanence. The citizens believe themselves modern, yet their modernity is made of fossils. Every object around them is alive but weary. The bird that doubles as a record player sighs with exhaustion. The woolly mammoth vacuum groans in despair. The show's humor, often taken at face value, conceals a profound moral question. What happens when convenience costs the freedom of others? The enslaved creatures of bedrock mirror the subservience of the human characters themselves. All life in this world has become a mechanism for survival. And survival itself is a ritual of obedience to the marble sovereign. The greatest irony of Os Flintstones lies in its depiction of happiness. The characters constantly seek it through novelty, through inventions, possessions, social gatherings, but the resolution always brings them back to the same point: the hearth, the home, the familiar. In the end, Fred and Wilma sit together, their arguments forgotten, their laughter renewed. This pattern might seem comforting, but beneath it lies an existential loop. The marble allows no growth, only endurance. Bedrock is civilization at rest, society preserved in amber. It reflects the human tendency to build security out of sameness and call it progress. The most fascinating scenes of the series are those when the illusion of stability trembles, when Fred's schemes unravel, and the cheerful facade cracks. The viewer glimpses the deeper architecture of despair beneath. There are brief moments: Fred sitting in silence after losing a promotion, Wilma watching the sunset through a stone window, Pebbles' laughter echoing through the empty house, when Bedrock feels suddenly immense and fragile. In those instants, El Soberano Mármol ceases to be metaphorical. It becomes tangible. One can almost hear the heartbeat of the world slow down, as if time itself were growing tired. Comparing Os Flintstones to other animated worlds, it stands apart not merely for its humor, but for its metaphysical melancholy. The cities of modern cartoons may change, but Bedrock never does. It is the first and last city, the alpha and omega of civilization. Its permanence mocks the notion of evolution. This unchanging quality is what gives the series its strange, dreamlike tone. Watching it feels like witnessing the same story retold endlessly, in slightly different words, like an ancient myth performed for eternity. The marble sovereign demands repetition as tribute. The symbolism of stone extends even to sound. The echoing voices, the hollow laughter, the rhythmic clatter of tools, all form a music of confinement. The characters speak loudly because silence would reveal too much. Fred's booming laughter is not just joy, but defiance, a noise made to drown out the stillness. The world around him does not respond. It absorbs his sound like a tomb swallowing an echo. This tension between noise and silence defines Bedrock's emotional landscape. It is a civilization afraid of quiet, afraid of confronting the truth that nothing truly moves. There is, however, a hidden tenderness in this immobility. Bedrock is not cruel. It is resigned. Its citizens are not enslaved but complicit. They love their stone houses, their primitive conveniences, their eternal sameness. There is beauty in their simplicity, in their acceptance of limits. This paradox, the coexistence of stagnation and serenity, is what makes the series timeless. It does not condemn humanity for its marble soul. It merely holds up a mirror. In that reflection, we see ourselves, smiling and tired, living our modern lives made of glass and concrete, but still governed by the same routines as those of Bedrock. In personal reflection, I often think of how childhood laughter transforms into adult nostalgia. Watching Os Flintstones as a child, one laughs at the absurdity of dinosaurs used as vacuum cleaners or telephones. Watching it again as an adult, one feels the quiet ache of recognition. The humor that once felt light now carries weight. The marble that once seemed funny now feels familiar. The world has changed, but we are still pushing our cars with our feet, chasing comfort that always slips away. El Soberano Mármol has simply changed shape. It now wears the mask of modernity. The genius of Os Flintstones lies in its universality. Beneath its prehistoric disguise lies a story about every family, every society, every human attempt to balance chaos with routine. Fred's workplace frustrations, Wilma's quiet resilience, Barney's laughter, Betty's warmth. They are not Stone Age traits, but eternal ones. The show endures because it never truly belonged to the past. Bedrock, for all its fossils, feels contemporary because it captures something unchanging in human nature: the longing to find meaning in repetition. Even the art style, with its simple lines and looping backgrounds, participates in this idea. The animation's limited motion reflects the constraints of both the technology and the characters. The background repeats because the world repeats. The minimalism of the drawings mirrors the minimalism of their choices. Yet within that limitation there is life. Each gesture, each expression, carries authenticity. It is a paradox of animation and of existence. From simplicity arises complexity. From stillness arises emotion. If El Soberano Mármol were to manifest as a single image, it would be Fred standing before the quarry at dawn, lunchbox in hand, the horizon glowing pale gray. The world is silent except for the wind that stirs the dust. He sighs, adjusts his tie made of animal hide, and walks forward. The scene is mundane, but in it lies the entire philosophy of the show. Man against permanence, movement against stone, laughter against silence. Bedrock is not a place but a condition, a geological stage of the human spirit, the closing moment of each episode. Fred, locked outside his house, shouting for Wilma, transcends comedy. It becomes ritual, an image of exile and return. Civilization always ends at the door it cannot open. The house, the family, the routine. These are the only sanctuaries we build. And even then we are sometimes left outside calling for warmth. The marble sovereign listens but does not answer. Yet the cry itself becomes music. Proof of life within the fossil. That is why the show never truly ends. It simply pauses until the laughter returns. Os Flintstones may appear simple, but it is a meditation on humanity's relationship with its own creation. It tells us that we have always been modern, even in prehistory. We have always lived among our inventions, always turned nature into tools, and always sought laughter to forget the absurdity of it all. Bedrock is the eternal city because it captures this paradox perfectly. Progress made of stone, hearts made of hope. And so, when we watch Fred and Wilma's silhouettes fade into the prehistoric night, we are not witnessing a cartoon ending. We are witnessing civilization closing its eyes for another day. The marble sovereign rests, waiting for us to awaken tomorrow and begin again. It knows we will, because we always do. We are creatures of repetition, artists of endurance, sculptors of our own prisons. Yet within that prison, we decorate the walls, we tell stories, we love. That is our victory over the marble, not to escape it, but to give it warmth. El Soberano Mármol is thus both ruler and reflection. It governs bedrock as time governs memory. It is the silent witness to human persistence, the monument we keep rebuilding under new names. The laughter of Os Flintstones still echoes across generations because it belongs to all who live under that rule. The marble remains, but so does the joy. And as long as Fred keeps shouting for Wilma somewhere in the fossilized night, we will keep believing that love can still open the door.